Welcome, mushrooms and myconids, to episode 45 of Dion Rising. This right here is a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition actual play campaign brought to you by the Knights of D20. Hi guys, good to see ya. As usual, before we begin triggering your trypophobia, we have a few announcements brought to you by a friend of mine who rumors say is actually 3 dice-stealing raccoons in a trench coat. Bobby, what are the announcements this week?
Yeah, we are going to have our final episode of Int Mod Pod for a little bit. This is going to be wrapping up our invocations for warlocks. We did have to break those up into 2 different episodes because, my god, are there a lot of them, and did we have a lot to say about them. On Wednesday, I am going to be joined with Robin, so we will have a Boolaway tea time. So any questions you have for either of us, make sure you head down to our Discord over in Tea You Want Spilled, and we will give you all the answers to pretty much anything you want to know, because we have no shame and no boundaries. But that's pretty much all I have for you, and we're going to send it back to our Dungeon Mother so we can get going.
Robin might have some shames and a couple boundaries, but just based on that. Thank you, Bobby, and thank you all again for joining us as we embark on an epic adventure in the world of Dion, where heroes rise, dangers abound, and legends are born. Players, dice at the ready. Get him. Tiny dice. Little guy. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's a baby. I love my little dice. I just play with them. I haven't actually used them yet. I just sit here and jiggle them. They make fun noises.
Is today the day?
Today might be the day. Okay. Where we last left off, episode 44. On this group's continued trek through the Undying Woods, the expedition tied themselves together again. Everyone except for Killian, who preferred freedom of movement on his celestial horseback. Eidos confided in him about overhearing Barda's troubling words the night before, putting everyone on a little bit of edge, though 3 days of travel passed relatively uneventfully. However, by the 4th day, the pull of the woods was growing stronger, a few more of our friends starting to feel the strange itch within them to get deeper in these woods and to go further and faster. And they finally reached the end of the marked path that Benji and his druid friends had carved up until this point. And they were standing in a grove of towering mushrooms, where Eidos encountered a sentient cluster of fungi who briefly warned them to take off as soon as they could, while a group of ravenous walking mushrooms attacked. The battle ended relatively quickly, but the encounter left everybody a little bit more shaken, especially when Seraphina discovered that the talking mushrooms, at least one of the clumps of mushrooms, was sprouting from the body of a humanoid something or other. Smaller humanoid creature, bipedal. You really just see a couple of small legs sticking out from underneath a large clump, a large patch of mushrooms growing on the ground, as you all catch your breath from fighting off these, or really carving up these myconid creatures that were attacking you. And the little clump of mushrooms sitting on a half-rotten stump. You all hear the little tiny voice in your head again. Oh, don't worry, that's just Dayland. And you see a foot twitch at the name on the ground.
Seraphina kind of just recoils in disgust and walks away like, nope. Mm-mm.
That has nothing to do with me.
Killian will go over and take a look at the body. Yeah, he just wants to see if he can get like an idea of time of death or if it's dead.
Sure, roll a medicine check.
All right. 14.
You take a look. Pretty much from like the mid-thigh over the head and a little bit further on is just a clump of mushrooms. Just these like very like long, skinny stalked, like pointy-headed mushrooms, all just growing on top of and around each other. So it's pretty hard to see, but you do see 2 legs sticking out of this pile of mushrooms, and you find like a sort of pressure point or like a vein on one of the thighs. And there is still a fairly steady heartbeat, if not a slow heartbeat.
This person is still alive.
Little clump of mushroom says, "Yeah, yep, he would be. Mushrooms can't actually decompose anything, though they try."
Little mushroom creature, how long is this? You said Dayland was this person's name? How long have they been here for?
Benji steps forward and says, he was one of the last group that we took in here. He's one of the ones that disappeared. He's been here for a couple weeks, at least. Little mushroom clump says, "Yep, that sounds about right."
Well, do you mind getting off of him so he can get up?
Oh, well, that's not me. I'm over here on this stump. But yeah, and you like feel like this little like mushroom cloud of like mental spores just poofs out of this little stump mushroom and floats over, and the mushrooms that are growing on that body slowly start to just like break off and wilt and kind of like roll away. Slowly but surely. While many of them do not, the little, you see at this point, it's like a gnomish man underneath, starts to like wiggle and move and twitch, and very suddenly sits upright, bolts up, and face is revealed, though really it's just eyes and like a little gap where his mouth would have been that you can actually see. The mushrooms have kind of like dug in, and you can see at this point, now that you can see more skin, wherever there is exposed skin, there are mushroom roots just melded into his face, trying to get any kind of decay sustenance out of him. And starts twitching, and spores are puffing off of the various mushrooms growing off of his body. He says, "Hello? Hello? Welcome to the wood. Welcome to the wood." He's looking at you, just sitting.
You got a little something here.
The wood is hungry. Everything in the wood is hungry. We have to feed it. You know, you have to feed it. Remind me, when we last left off, which of you had failed that last wisdom check? Are any of you charmed by the wood at this point?
I think I was.
Remember.
It's Bula and Killian and the
it was
researchers.
Bula,
and
Killian, the
Benji.
researchers, and Nomi,
Sure.
right?
Yes.
Or is it Benji?
It's Benji, I think.
Okay, cool.
I thought it was
Nobody
Nomi.
had it from the. I think they.
It was
both
Nomi,
had it.
because that's why she was in the bed, like,
Sure, but
having a not so great time.
I think he was also
Yeah.
too by the end of it.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Nomi was
That
on night
last one, I
2,
think.
and Benji
Yeah.
was the last night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think they both failed. Yeah, this mushroom covered face, little gnome face, twitches and looks at you all, who he can see it in your eyes. He's just kind of like, "You love the wood. We're gonna save the wood. We're gonna feed the wood. The wood needs us. The mushrooms need us. Are any of you dead? They need the dead."
Not last time I checked. She starts like patting herself down, like, am I dead?
I'm gonna, like,
Unhelpful,
poke at Killian's side.
Ow.
Unhelpful.
Sharp nail. Ow.
When do you trim your nails?
Is that something we're supposed to do?
He, like, this little gnome man very stiffly stands up. He's a little bit older from what you can see. He's got some, like, crow's feet around his eyes that you can see, and just sort of the tenor of his voice is a little bit deeper for a gnome. Stands up and very carefully, like, picks up some of the mushrooms that, like, fell off of him and is trying to, like, stick them back on wherever they'll stick. It's not working very well.
Benji, what did this one do on the expedition? Was he responsible for anything?
He was just one of the researchers. Dayland, are you all right, Professor? The professor says, "I am all right if the wood is all right. I am all right if the wood is all right. Treks around, looks at all the trees, looks at the mushrooms, gives a nod to the little stump mushroom cluster that's been talking at you. And he says, I was preeminent expert in chronomancy and botanical lifespan in Arendriel. I am going to be useful to the wood. What I was is important. What I am is important. What are you?
Well, we're here to... Gillian just looks around back and forth at everybody. Help the woods, of course.
Roll a deception.
Right, everybody? No.
Yeah. Totally, yeah.
Yeah,
Helping words.
sure,
For sure.
I mean, why would we want to hurt the wood?
15.
15. He looks around and sees the dead myconid, or the not dead, but the still twitching pieces of mushroom that you have carved up and exploded and done various bits of violence toward. But then looks at you all and looks at the little stump mushrooms, and you see like the mushrooms on his face start to like glow, almost like bioluminescent a little bit in the daylight, in like just little veins, and you all hear more voices in your head. The mushrooms are hungry. We're hungry, we're hungry, we're hungry, we're hungry. And he starts yelling with the voices, I'm hungry. And it becomes like a cacophony as these like mushroom voices and his voice sort of become one, and the mushrooms start to speak like using his vocal cords, and you see his eyes go like blank. Like he just sort of, his eyes almost go two separate directions as he goes void. And then you hear those voices coming through his own vocal cords. We need to eat. We have been hungry many cycles.
Ula.
At least someone is hungry.
Right? I don't understand this. Are we in the same woods? Because they told me the woods is why I wasn't hungry, which is slightly upsetting. So,
I believe it's however you entered the woods was how you would be during your stay. So if you came in hungry, then you would be hungry the entire time and never change. Is that right?
That's what it seems like, at least.
Feels correct.
either way, it's unsettling and I don't like it. So are you saying that these mushrooms came in hungry?
They must have if they follow the same, physiological rules as us, which hopefully they don't.
You all hear the voice of the little stump mushrooms in your head. They've been hungry for a while. I was not hungry when the forest stopped. When everything stopped. I got lucky. I think they've been too hungry too long. Forgive their bad manners.
You said the forest stopped. Do you know why it stopped?
Probably those snake folk.
I'm sorry, the what?
You know, the snake people. People, snake arms, snake skins. People, though.
Does that ring a bell to y'all?
It's the Yuan-ti. Yuan-ti?
Yuan-ti.
Yuan-ti.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know how long
they
ago
passed?
that was?
Many, 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 many cycles. Many cycles. Long before anything. They passed. Cycle later, forest stopped.
And are the snake people still in the forest?
If they have left, they did not leave this direction, but they came this direction.
Came this direction heading which way?
And you all feel this horrible high-pitched droning ring in your head as spores puff out from the little stump mushrooms, and then from another mushroom further down and another further down, and spreading out around you see spores just poof, 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 as this like little cacophony of like ringing voice just just begins with your little stump mushrooms and just explodes around you and eventually sort of ripples away from you. And a few moments pass, and a few more, and a few more. And eventually that droning sort of comes back as if rippling back toward you. And the little stump mushrooms say, they are that way. Can't point. Just said they are that way.
Which way?
The way. You want... Hold, please. And the body of Dayland twitches over like it doesn't remember how to walk, but does so jarringly and jerkily, and just smacks his head down onto the stump that this little cluster of mushrooms is on, and the cluster of mushrooms just slowly gloms onto his face and crawls up his head and sort of fills in the space over one of the eyes that was exposed. And you see little roots of mushroom spore leak into the eye socket as he does so. And the head jerks back up with the stump mushroom cluster on its head now. And in the gnome's voice, "We can go, I'll show you." And jerkily, zombie-ishly starts walking sort of the direction you were heading previously.
So are we gonna follow this thing?
I really don't want to, but I don't see what choice we have.
You watch it like bounce between two trees, trying to get between them.
Killian will look back to Benji and say, we've passed the last of your marker stones, correct? So everywhere forward from this point is unknown territory?
Yep. Unfortunately, that's the case. I didn't expect to have a guide at this point in our journey, but I suppose it would not be wise to refuse if they know the way. It was going to be sort of a trial and error to figure out if we were going the right direction after today.
Well, trial and error could take us anywhere in the forest. At least we have some kind of direction here. Who's up for a little adventure? Clearly high off the mushrooms.
You see the gnome is like crawling on like hands and feet trying to get over a rock instead of going around it, but keeps slipping back down and trying again.
Well, if staying here is gonna make us end up like that kid over there, I'm in. Let's go.
That's a very good point. I'm in.
I think Marley is gonna follow, but very suspiciously.
Nomi and Benji sort of look at each other and shrug, and Barda comes up. What is the hold up? We have places to be. Are we going or are we not?
Well, Barda, we seem to have found ourselves a guide through this forest. So we're gonna follow the direction and see where it leads us to.
Very well. Shall we proceed then? With haste, one would hope.
Billy just looks over to the fumbling mushroom man that can't walk straight. I think might be a little bit slow, but I think I have a way to speed this up. Bula, would you mind throwing that thing just on Casimir's back?
To touch it.
Just like quickly, just
Okay.
sack of
But if any of
potatoes.
these things try to crawl into my eyeball, I'm coming for you first. And she stomps over there and picks
gnome
him up
is-
and
The gnome is face down on the rock, trying to inchworm up it with its arms just loose behind it.
so she's just
Gross.
gonna kind of unceremoniously sack a potato this guy up onto Krishamir.
Krishamir. Lands with a puff of spores, but otherwise fine, and sits up and one arm just points in a direction. That way!
Is Serafina and Ido still tied to these researchers?
I'm not. I used a. I think I.
Yeah, you use an action
Misty
hentai.
stepped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Serafina
Yeah, I think-
still is.
Oh yeah.
Any particular reason you ask?
No, I'm just curious.
Hmm.
Plant growth,
Okay.
trip them both.
I was just trying to see if everyone else was tying themselves back up to their partners, but whatever.
Just feel
Um,
safe.
I mean, I feel like Bula is, because I did fail the last check, so I feel like she's just like, onward! She's not even really thinking about it.
Yeah,
All right, so moving on, untied is the plan.
I know Killian is definitely going to be untied.
Untied for me.
Untied, but with Eden and Huthramur close to Nomi and Benji.
Serafina's gonna stay tied up, but she'll like lead them like she's walking dogs.
Ooh, nice. It's like Michelle from Walking Dead.
Yeah, very. And they do all seem to want to go and follow Mushroom Gnome, from what you can tell. So just based on their countenance, they seem like this is taking them where they want to go. So you all take off, and with this gnome arm just pointing in the direction that you should go at any given time, pretty much constantly, you are able to make a trek through the wood. And every now and then you see this puff of spores and this high-pitched sort of communication happen telepathically between sets of mushrooms as you go through this woodland, seeming to sort of guide your way. Even so much so that the wood starts to sort of pick up life after a day or two of travel in this manner. The mushroom gnome doesn't seem to need sleep, but the very first night of rest, you see the eyes sort of refocus for a moment as the Professor Dayland, the gnome, the actual gnome underneath it all, looks at you with one eye, not covered by mushrooms, and says, the outside, do they know about it here?
Well, they know very little, but that's one of the purposes of us coming deeper into the woods, is to learn a bit more. Is there
You see,
anything?
like, thoughtful nodding.
Is there anything you can tell us?
I have been where you found me for I do not know how long, hoping to feed the wood. Did not work. But we must continue. We must find something. I don't know what. Something. It's important. And it's important that the outside doesn't know. We must protect the wood.
Is it a secret?
The eye sort of unfocuses and Dalen's body falls back in a heap on the ground and goes to sleep.
I guess it
Yeah,
must
I
be.
think so.
I love secrets.
But yeah, as you travel over the next few days, as I said, the terrain and just the sort of ambiance of the jungle sort of begins to gain a little bit of life. It's almost like the deeper you get, the more creatures have been drawn here, the more things are alive. You do see bugs first, and then slowly some smaller mammals, small reptiles, lizards on the bottom of a leaf. A snake slithering quickly deep in the sort of underbrush. You start to see some bigger creatures as well. Dark, eyes staring at you from behind a set of trees, sort of watching you pass carefully. Start to see birds of all different colors and sizes take off as you approach. But the wood starts to come alive, and the mushrooms seem to be leading you in ways that sometimes it seems a bit counteractive or away from where the quickest route will go. Yeah, but it would seem that you are constantly kept on a safe and a path that will actually lead you where you need to go. That you
For
could not
absolute
possibly really know.
clarification,
Please.
these animals we're seeing, are they mushroom animals or are they just like normal animals?
Many seem to be normal animals.
Many.
Roll.
Seem to be.
Many
Roll.
seem to be, but not all.
Many, but not all.
It's a
You do
real
know.
funky goose.
I think you see like you're passing by a thin like river, and you see like some river turtles on a log, and they all sort of skitter off, and one of them just moves a little slower, and it has a bunch of mushrooms growing on its shell. But otherwise, mostly normal animals, it would seem. And yeah, the forest really picks up some life. It's the terrain though stays relatively the same in this sort of stagnant, almost like autumnal state of plant life, and a lot of mushrooms still spread out all over the place. You do not come across any more myconids, however, as you travel. And I will have, just as these last few days of travel, I want everybody to roll a wisdom saving throw with disadvantage.
Ooh.
Oh man, mine's already not great.
If you're all near me, you get +4. If you're near me.
How near?
10 feet?
And so since I usually would have advantage, I'll just roll normal, correct?
Normal, yes. Yep.
Serafina has 10.
Ooh, first roll of the game. Oh wait, no, I got a disadvantage. Dang it.
Oh, no!
No.
You jinxed it.
I know.
All right, Serafina was
Okay.
10.
Killian
Marley.
Oh, go ahead.
22.
Killian.
14.
Bula.
I mean, I guess, am I close enough to Killian if I'm just like walking around in the vicinity?
Yeah, I'll say if you guys are staying in a pretty close group, then yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
And you said that's +4?
Yeah.
4. Okay, so that makes it an 8 altogether.
Nice.
Oof.
Yeah, oof is right.
Oof.
Coming off that
Potatoes.
nat 20, oof.
Yeah.
What a wasted 20.
Ados, what was yours?
I got a 15 with Killian's help.
15. Okay. Everybody except Maraway. You, during these days of travel, at some point or other, feel the pull of the wood, and you are impatient to get deeper. You know that something beautiful and wonderful and life-alteringly important is ahead of you. You are all still conscious that this is happening. However, it is an uncontrollable emotional response, almost like an anxiety attack, only pleasant, lovely. You don't want it to end. You feel like the flutter of a first crush or brushing hands with someone you really want to kiss. It feels like that as you move deeper and deeper into the wood.
So I'm experiencing it too as well, just from a different source.
100% you are, yes.
I imagine when Serafina feels this, she puts on her comfy shoes and she's ready to go.
Okay. And after another about 4 days, a little over 5 days of travel, the gnome's arm, which as long as it's been on Cassian, see, I can't even remember it now.
It's
horse-
Castle Deer.
It's a horse
Casimir.
of many different names.
A horse of many names. As long as the gnome is on the Horse of Many Names, its arm has been pointing. And as you approach this wide, rushing river, the arm just drops, and the head jerks in a turn toward what you can see down the river is a rather green-looking suspension bridge of rope and wood plank crossing over this sort of river gorge. And it crosses the river just at a point where you can see the sort of the clearly naturally occurring wide river that you stand over right now is met with what looks to be a man-made, for lack of a better term, man-dug sort of canal moat situation. You can see sort of the natural carved river has been met and joined with a large canal that continues off to the north. And it would appear that a sort of moat has been dug around what you can assume to be where you need to go. And there is a suspension bridge for you to cross.
But we can't see to the other side yet?
It's foggy enough. You still see trees on it. You can see the other side of the river. And the river's not low beneath the suspension bridge. This isn't like any kind of crazy canyon gorge kind of situation. But the river runs maybe like 18 feet beneath where the bridge is.
I would like to apologize
but yeah, you see trees on the other
because
side.
I totally just got rid of Water Walk, and that probably would have been relatively helpful here.
Oh man.
I was like, we're in a forest. We're not going to be walking across like a lake.
That's ridiculous.
Surprise.
There are rivers in rainforests, crazy enough.
So how?
I have made a mistake.
What's the what's the distance of like the expanse, I guess, of like the bridge?
The river itself is maybe 30 feet across. It's pretty wide, but the bridge width is like 10 feet. It's a sizable bridge. And while it is suspension, while it's a bit, green and waterlogged looking, it appears to have all the planks in good order. And it's, like I said, it's not like a deadly height off of the river by any means. Everybody
Okay.
roll a perception check, though.
$19.
19.
10.
Twinsies.
15.
Okay, Marway, Seraphina, Killian, I think you all gather up, and Benji, while Nomi is sort of covering the back of your caravan, making sure no one wanders away, Benji walks up to join you three, looking across the river and considering your next move, and the group of you can all see almost like shadows just moving through the mist. Humanoid shadows approach, back off, move from tree to tree. And with those rolls, you probably feel as though you've been noticed.
Well, I don't like that.
Why not? They could just be new friends.
Well, I guess that's quite true. We should go say hi to them.
Absolutely. That bridge looks perfectly sound. I'm ready to cross it right now.
Me as well. If we're gonna go across this, I would like to have Eden kind of hop on the planks in front of me, and I would like to cast through her mending with every plank that she hits, and so it'll fix up any rope damage or anything within a 5 foot of that casting.
Very nice. Love that ingenuity. Yeah, you watch as these wood planks, the parts that were maybe getting rotted out just by like rainfall, it would seem, as you're up close and actually looking at the construction of this bridge. Clearly hand-constructed bridge, but that mending helps sort of take some of the weathering off of the planks. And if Marway is the one leading across, does everybody else follow?
Yeah, Killian, with the love of the adventure in his heart from this forest, is just like confidently walking right behind Marway.
Naturally.
Seraphina is going to wait and see, because she might misty step over.
And Eidos is standing right next to Seraphina. Same idea.
Ula's just chucking on through because she's got to get in these across this thing and where she's going.
Killian
Okay.
just like loops his arm with Bula and he's like, "Come on, adventure buddy, let's go."
She tries
Very
to skip, but she
excited.
doesn't really know how. So
And Seraphina and
Where's
Eidos, you
Benji?
watch the Indiana Joneses of your group trek across. Benji follows, also sort of testing the weight of the different planks behind you all. Marway, as you look back, he gives you like an appreciative nod as he sort of looks at Eden hopping ahead, and does a little bounce and sort of gestures to you, Eidos and Seraphina, to bring the researchers across. Not that he has to tell you to come across. You're braver than that.
As he gives Morroway that nod, he's totally like, where it was like a glance back, like very quick, straight back ahead, face fully blushed.
Of course.
Okay, so with that indication, Seraphina's gonna take the researchers by their leashes and start taking them across the front.
And Eidos will follow Seraphina and her pets.
Okay,
And-
yeah, you all, spoiler alert, you all make it to the other side just fine.
Okay.
And I'll have Casimir kind of bring up the rear with the Dayland on his back and want to bring the horse across first.
That's probably a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah. Though, although it's a little bit, it's swaying quite a bit more under a massive horse's hooves, which are not meant for crossing suspension bridge. Cassian makes it across just fine with the sort of mushroom zombie body of Professor Dayland. And as you get across and you're able to see a little bit further through that mist, you do, at this point, you can see different shapes of bodies, but all human-sized, humanoid-sized, medium, if you had to put a D&D size to it, medium body shapes, sort of moving amongst the trees. They don't seem to be approaching very closely. They'll take a peek and retreat pretty quickly.
Hello, you don't have to run.
You feel across your ankle, just above where your hoof is, a little garden snake wraps around and very quickly slithers in a coil up your leg and
My
sort
lord.
of snakes around from under your robe to sit on your water skin, and just little snake just tongue wiggles at you.
Hello, little buddy.
And it sort of looks at you, moves very serpentine for a second, little tongue going. You see it sort of reach out and tickle your fur, and it quickly retreats back down your leg and slithers off into the mist.
That's okay, I can be nervous meeting friends for the first time too.
Do you all continue on your path? No Marm goes up again, pointing in a direction.
It may be a little bit on the nose, certainly, but we are looking for snake people. You don't think that was, I don't know, connected to the snake people, maybe?
You think snake people would own snake pets?
As I was saying it, it felt wrong to say, if we were in a city, I'd be in trouble. You know what? It's a stupid idea. I don't know. I don't know anything about the Wanti. Let's just forget I said anything.
Benji says, now tell me, what is this about snake people? I don't know that we've had this conversation before. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe, you know what? Let's not talk about it in mixed company. And he kind of side eyes Barda, who's a couple feet away.
Oh yeah.
He says, we could talk about it later, but I think we have a conversation to be had, perhaps.
Certainly, much later. This is a conversation for much, much later. Shall we continue on?
All right.
I say so. Let's go.
Killing, you all right? You're doing okay?
Fantastic. How about you?
Never better. You seem raring to go. Just making sure that we're all good. Wait, isn't Eidos affected by this too?
This is
Yeah.
like
Oh,
Eidos
so
excited.
Yeah, I forgot.
You
Yeah,
like seem all good.
yeah. I'm feeling great. I'm having a good time. Glad to see you're having a good time too.
Killian just like shadow boxes a little bit. It's like, I'm ready to go.
And Bula's up there. What are we waiting on? Let's get to getting.
Barda as well. We shall proceed. Amelia kind of shakes her head and follows.
And
And
the only person not affected was already excited to get into this forest, so...
Oh, yeah.
So we continue. Okay. Yeah. You note that the shapes sort of watching you are not stopping. They sort of continue along the path, keeping just out of sight, just out of eye reach. You do note one of them slips up, and you see what appears to be humanoid body, humanoid arms, hands, but a distinctly scaling face with a little snake snout, no nose, peeking around a tree at you and hiding again. Just sort of makeshift robes that it's wearing. And then you note them run off, and you can sort of hear the footprints recede into the distance. You continue on, and before very long, before an hour has passed, you see your first sign of a settlement. A settlement that you hear the mushrooms, little mushroom stump man starts twitching, and in that husky mushroom puppet voice says, "We have reached Zashala. It's Zashala. It is the coil. We may eat here. Maybe eat. And the voice sort of scatters separately, and you do see inside this sort of circle of water that you crossed, Zashala is a collection of low, sort of terraced dwellings and communal halls built into the trees and into just the natural structure of the wood. Of wood and clay and scavenged stone, which you can surmise were likely all sort of dug out from that trench that you saw running around the city. It appears to be the same sort of clay and mud and rock that you watched below you in the river. The roofs are shingled with broad rainforest leaves and sort of lacquered with what would appear to be dried resin or sap or something along those lines. And the architecture here is very functional instead of grand. Things are just raised on stilts against the damp. Big open central spaces that are just sort of open air. That exist apparently for communal gatherings. They've got sort of makeshift chairs built, pads for the floor, all different places for one to sit or rest. And what little artistry you start to see as you move among these homes is very subtle and sometimes a bit unsettling. You do indeed see some carved serpent sigils in a tree, or a scale tiling sort of decorating the front of a facade of a building. And you just see pools of collected rainwater sort of dug into stone for drinking. What you don't see is any living creatures. You don't see these sort of snake people besides the bits and pieces of shadows moving just out of sight.
Can Killian loop back with the research group, just make sure, kind of take stock of the numbers, and as he's going to interact with the researchers, he'll just say, "I think we stumbled upon something worth researching for all of you guys, aside from just mushrooms and stuff. Look at this. It's so cool.
Yeah, Dasso, the Mellow Oaks teaching assistant specifically, is like, this is indeed a discovery for all of the books. This is more incredible than anything I could have predicted finding here. What is it that allowed us to come this far, I wonder? And starts, like, jotting down ideas and hypotheses in his notebook as he, like, looks at this, like, scale mosaic on the side of one of the buildings and is like, this is clearly of Yuan-Ti descent. Incredible. I wonder if it is completely abandoned.
Well, I doubt that. I think may have spotted one or two Yuan-Ti scouting us out as we approach the settlement here.
I haven't noticed at all. I've been too enthralled with the wildlife. Fascinating if they're still here. Fascinating. We must keep going. Takes off, throws the stuff in his bag.
Yeah, I'll just make sure they all kind of head off in front, and Killen will kind of bring up the rear just to make sure everyone's safe.
Cool. And Nomi is kind of doing the same, but you notice that she has tied herself to the group again, and her and Benji keep checking on each other, keep making eye contact from the front and the back of the group. As you move between these like initial homes and settlement buildings, you do note that the mist starts to clear to the point where you can sort of see a little bit further. And from atop a sort of like valley, a river valley, cutting through the settlement, you can see this quasi-city stretched out before you. And it appears to be in a very, very, for lack of a better word, serpentine layout of rounded, just curving streets in concurrent semicircles, all surrounding this, what from this distance appears to be some sort of stone garden of some sort or something along those lines from this distance, a couple miles out, as well as that dark, tall, spired mage tower that you can see rise into the mist above to the point where you can't even see the top of it, but you can see it's the tallest building in the settlement. And very different than the other buildings surrounding it, made of a completely different type of stone and material. The gnome, which I assume is still on Casimir's back, says, "There's nothing here to eat. There's nothing to eat. There's nothing to eat for the mushroom. That's sad. We must continue."
When we entered into this like area without the fog, are we hungry? Or are we still not hungry?
You are still not hungry.
Well, poo.
It almost appears like this being sort of a river valley, it almost appears the fog is just at the elevation of ground level behind you. You're going sort of beneath the fog. It almost becomes more cloud-like above you. And as you continue down the streets, you see your first sign of life. You see a tiny child with snake arms, human torso, snake face, snake tail, body, knees, whatever. No human legs, just a single snake tail, and sort of where a cobra's thing would be, a humanoid torso and snake arms. Both of which have a snake head at the end. So this is a 3-headed Yuan-Ti. And it's a child, it's small, and it pokes around, and all 3 mouths hiss at you. And you see the little forked tongue dart out. And then you see a adult snake woman, by all accounts. Scaled skin, but more humanoid features. Pop around and scoop it up into her arms and go running off into the distance.
We gotta go, right? We
Yeah,
gotta go. Seraphina's gonna take her pack of researchers and start running.
Towards the people or away?
What'd you say?
Good question.
Were you running
Towards
towards
them? Are you chasing them?
Yeah, I'm gonna chase them. I'm gonna
Okay.
go see where she's going. Sorry.
And you do all feel the draw to do so as well. Everybody except for Maraway, truly.
Yeah, it's like just like a pack of animals running, killing. Just like I'm going.
Time to go.
Bula just
And you
follows,
go.
but she also kind of grabs Maraway's hand too, just to make sure that he's with.
You don't have to run from us. We only wish to speak.
You hear a voice from down the street. You took off running down the street after her, and she had disappeared sort of around a building. And you hear someone yell from further down the street, and you see a woman step out, a different woman step out, wearing almost nothing. Not quite nothing, but almost nothing. And she is also very, very humanoid. She does have like snake-like slits instead of a nose. She has scaled face and neck skin, scaled arms. All of her skin is just these like beautiful, like sort of like an albino snake, that sort of white pink shimmer. She has pink red eyes, like hot pink albino snake eyes. She looks like a pink corn snake essentially. With snake-like features on her face, but still very humanoid features otherwise. And she has these like long coiled braids that she has wrapped up onto her head and has all these like little decorative just pieces of metal and leaf and like reed braids braided into them, all in this like very fabulous updo, huge, heavy looking updo. And she is, by all accounts, very, very, very beautiful for a snake woman to everybody, including Maraway. Even if Maraway, you note that, like, I think probably some jaws drop because she is, first of all, a very naked woman, and second of all, a very beautiful naked woman who just carries herself, though she is sort of smaller in stature, she carries herself very tall and regally. And she steps out and says, "You have come, and I hope, like many others, you have come to help." And she sort of waits.
I look
hands
over and
crossed behind her back.
lift Killian's jaw back up close. Well, I hope we can.
You see her tongue sort of like almost involuntarily like flick out and smell the air. And she says, "You all have made it far. You need rest?"
Not really, actually. I feel quite full of life. I mean, we haven't eaten in days and haven't need anything to drink. I don't know about the rest of these guys, but I'm full of life right now.
Seraphina, upon seeing her like tongue like come out, Seraphina, I think a long time ago she got a devil's tongue.
She did get a forked devil's tongue a long time ago.
Seraphina is gonna activate her devil's tongue and like stick it out, and she'll be like, "I got one too."
You see the Yuan-Ti woman crack a smile, and you see it's not teeth, it is two fangs on bottom and top as she smiles at you. She says, "Are you of the blood?"
I mean, I might be, not as far as I know, but possibly. We need a 23andMe, or what is it?
I'm like 1/32nd Yuan-Ti on Dad's side.
She gestures to one of the houses on this street. Sort of has like a side patio area with sort of almost like a tea table and like wrought iron looking chairs carved from wood. And she says, "Please forgive our lack of hospitality. We do not often have visitors, and when we do, it is quite the occasion, and my people ran to retrieve me as soon as they saw you approach." And she goes herself and sits down in one of the chairs and gestures for you to join.
It's always an occasion when I come to visit.
And,
Another smile.
And truth be told, I don't believe that anyone had knowledge that this settlement was even here. At least no one from the expedition party.
I would not expect anyone to. We are quite insular, not through our own choosing, but please, there is much I can explain if you would care to sit. I would offer you a meal, but you must have noticed by now that is unnecessary.
We'll say thank you very much. I think we have much to discuss, and he'll take a seat at the table.
She
Yeah,
waits to see what the rest of you do.
I'll join as well.
Seraphina obviously sits down.
Morrowind will
I think
fit.
Benji and Nomi sort of like have to like hold the researchers back. They're trying to like elbow their way in and sit as close as they can to her. And they both like sort of like pull them off to the side and keep them on the street so that you all can have a conversation here. They both look like they can't keep their eyes off of her, but they're staying wary. And they sort of have a job to do, which is protect these researchers. And as you all sit, the woman... Sorry, go ahead, Bula.
Gosh, Boo's gonna flop down into a chair. Man, I really wish we could have a meal too.
Yes, You have traveled far and long to be here. I can only assume that you knew we were here somehow. Yes?
We knew that the Yuan-Ti story was tied to this area, but I don't think we knew that there was a settlement here.
Well, a settlement we are, if nothing else. I am Sitzi. I am, by all accounts, a leader, I suppose, what they call me when we meet new people, though I am simply one of the brood.
What is
Now,
the brew?
My people, the Yuan-Ti.
Okay.
The last of the people I fear. Unless there is news that you can bring me of the outside world. Are Yuan-Ti... Are there more of us out there?
It's hard to say. If there are, they're doing a good job of hiding, but we don't have proof that there aren't any. I think there were some reports of Yuan-Ti having a flotilla in the ocean. Is that correct? Does that ring a bell to anybody?
As DM, you would have heard that, yes. There were.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Yes.
there are some left there, of course, there are some left there seafaring and keeping away from others.
It is good to know that not all of us have been lost to the years. What is the year? It is, but you tell her the year. I don't know what my head is.
I don't know, what is the year?
Oh, 1697.
1697, that makes sense, yes.
Yeah.
Goodness. Well, you must have many questions.
How long has your settlement been here?
Well, approximately 1,697 years and some change.
Buildings hold up spectacularly.
Well, the buildings we have built and maintained ourselves since coming here. This is not our ancestral home, necessarily. The woods, yes, but this settlement, no, we had to construct it by necessity. And with
Do you know anything about the big tower?
I'm sorry, the what?
The tower.
The tower. That is my home. That is my tower. Though it was here before us. I do not know its origins. We have renovated the inside to be more usable to those of us who are not bipedal, but yes, we have made use of it as our place of worship or research. And it is where I live.
And what kind of research are you doing out here?
Well, as you say, people there are stories of us. I do not know the stories of my own people that others tell, but we are quite trapped here. And we have been for a long time, and I do not just mean my people, I mean we ourselves. I myself am, I suppose, just over 1,700 years old.
You stopped aging.
Not through any...
You look amazing. Oh my gosh. You'd tell me all your secrets.
I fear it comes at great cost, unfortunately. We are quite cursed, or blessed, as some may consider it. The research that we do is... she sort of like gets choked up and a little bit emotional. I wish someday to free my people, and perhaps if enough strong and brave folk like you come through, we can find a way. If you've made it this far, you must feel a bit of what the curse does. Is that
Not
true?
really.
It makes
No?
me not want to eat.
That is accurate, yes. That is
The
part of it.
worst kind of curse I could think of.
Also guiding us further into the woods.
We are quite unchanging, and so is the wood, and so is everything else under this blessing. And, well, a life of eternal youth is not all it's cracked up to be, it turns out. Though, judging by your faces, you may disagree.
So you've been afflicted with this curse, you and your kin, for 1,700 years? Or,
Well, since the Dionic Wars, yes.
yes, 1,000 years. Sorry.
Now, yes. What do you know of the Dionic Wars? What is the general knowledge outside? I have asked others who have wandered here, and answers vary. What do you know?
Well, the Dionic Wars were the battle between the gods that we now know as the... is it like the welcome ones? Is that like the pantheon versus unwelcome ones? Yeah. Our deities are known as the welcome ones, and they did battle with the now known as the unwelcome ones for control over Dion. And well, of course, our deities won the day and won the battle and banished the unwelcome ones away, and Dion has flourished since then.
Much like many of the others who have been here of recent years. I fear I am going to reveal the past of my people that, while true, will potentially turn you away from our cause, but honesty is, I have learned over these many, many years, the only way to operate. We, as a people, we did fight in the Dionic Wars, like many of the other races that still exist. Though we fought for the side that you call the unwelcome ones. We have long been worshippers of Dea. And what I fear is most damning to us is that Dea herself gave us the blessing of youth and longevity and protection of the days after the war. And what you know as the banishment of the unwelcome ones, but what we knew as a wholesale slaughter of our people and religious persecution. And while we do not spit on the blessing that Dea has given us and the chance that she has given us to survive as a people, we suffer still.
So your goddess's blessing turns out to also be a curse.
As many blessings do. So, I am here, unarmed, unclothed, sorry, asking, as I have asked others who have made their way here, for your help. My people look to me for guidance and for relief, and I know not how to give it, and I hope technology and magic have progressed enough in the world outside of this wood that perhaps you bring a way for us to be freed.
Keelan will kind of look over to and lean over to Ados and just kind of whisper something to him. Do you think perhaps we should see if they have any like relics from Dea herself? We are looking for relics of the Unwelcome One. Perhaps that's what keeps them bound to this curse.
Seems a logical explanation to me. If something is maintaining this blessing or curse, this magic that keeps them locked here, it might be the relic itself. I think that tower is the first place we should look. Maybe we should offer our help and keep an eye open.
Let's see. Do you have any sort of maybe a talisman, a statue, or some kind of gift bestowed upon your tribe here by Dea herself?
I want everybody sitting in part of this conversation so you all can roll an insight check as you ask this.
Serafina has a 5.
Yikes.
Boola's got a 4.
Yikes.
Ados has a 9.
Yikes.
Killing got a 12.
Oh my gosh.
2 digits.
I got a 19.
There you go.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Marway, that's just high enough. You see a look of like shock and then very quickly suppressed across her face. Back to sort of a calm demeanor. As Killian asks that. And she says, What sort of relic are you asking about?
Above table, do we know what the relic is? Like what it is? It's like a, isn't it? Oh geez.
Yeah.
Lore keeper. What is it?
Was it
coming?
I don't want to say something that I haven't revealed, but I think I revealed it. Or a
Is
word.
it like armor?
It is.
No, armor's the ones that
You've
the
got
orcs
armor of
have.
array.
We got the mace.
Uh-huh.
Got a
Crown.
tiara.
Mace of Oztar.
I don't know if it's a statue or
It's
like
a figure.
little.
It's a figure
right?
A figurine.
made of rose quartz.
Okay. Do you say that?
Yeah. I believe it may be some kind of like a statue or some kind of figure. I don't know if it is in the resemblance of Dea herself, but I would more likely believe that it has some resemblance to her appearance.
She, at this point, looks quite openly shocked. Marway, you catch, with that insight roll, you catch not just shock, but hope while the rest of you see just she drops sort of a facade. And she looks around. She notes that, like, at this point, some, like, Yuan-Ti people have sort of, like, started to gather in the distance and sort of, like, poked their head around corners to watch this conversation happening. And she sort of, like, clocks several of them and almost like a panicked look, and she says, come with me. And she stands and begins making her way, not like through the Serpentine roads, but like beelining almost like through like people's yards, almost like toward city center, toward her tower. As she takes off at a very brisk pace.
And that Killian will stand up and get ready to go, and he'll just turn back to Benji and Nomi and just say, perhaps it's best if you stay here with the researchers while we have a conversation with Sitsi.
Nomi says, yeah, maybe we'll talk to the locals and see what we can learn about the settlement.
Serafina will untie herself and hand the lead to Nomi.
She says, this seems inappropriate, but okay. And they
like
just sort of like...
will bashfully tell Benji to be careful while they're away.
Benji says, you be careful too, Mr. Marway. We'll catch you soon, don't worry. And you all follow Sitsi toward the tower. And she leads you there, you leaving the rest of your group behind. Barda looks pretty unhappy to be left behind and sits her ass down on one of the chairs, pretty poutily. And you all take off toward the tower. Sitsi leads you there. It takes a couple minutes to walk down that far. But she is like beelining through every like back alley that this woodland village sort of has available to her. Some spaces she squeezes through easily that you all have to like, you feel like you have more bones than she does somehow. But you do manage to follow her, and she just, a few different Yuan-Ti people, a few like more armored Yuan-Ti people approach her as she's leading you, and she's staying a few steps ahead, and they like share sort of quick words as she sort of sends them on their way as they check in, more and more so as you get closer to the tower. And she leads you there, and this tower has been sort of retrofitted that you can see now that you're up close. It is round, but not really. It's sort of like a hexagonal tower with different spires coming up, but it is all sort of one room on each floor. And the outside is even retrofitted with these ramps held up by bamboo poles. The inside you can see is one central sort of hollowed out post with ramps going all the way up from floor to floor that you can see all the way up to the very top of this tower. It's maybe like 24 stories tall or something. It's very tall. And she leads you through, and it is densely populated at this point. It seems much of the city sort of gathers here. The first few floors are crowds who all go quiet as you all walk in following Sitsi, and she leads you up that central ramp, and voices just quiet as you pass or whisper to each other in a sort of like hopeful demeanor, it seems, as they watch you pass, a little bit reverent. And Sitsi takes you up and up and up and up and up until finally you get to a space where she can actually like slide this large wooden almost trapdoor situation over the ramp to make the top floors more private. And this room is very much Marway would feel right at home here. This is a witch's space. Lots and lots and lots of dried herbs hanging from the ceiling, different bottles and potions and arcane sigils, scrolls, like many, many spell scrolls in slots all along the walls and laid out on tables. This is a space for the arcane and the witchy. And she seems at home here. This would appear to be one of her spaces. And she leads you all over to a table that she lays her hands on. And she takes like a very deep breath and says, how do you know of the figurine?
Dylan will step forward and he'll just say, I'll be perfectly frank with you since you've been open and honest with us. we know about the relics of the unwelcome ones. Seeing how you were around in the Dionic Wars, I'm sure you know of them. The Mace of Estar, the armor of... Don't tell me. Hold on. Wait for it. Armor of Ere. Yes.
Okay.
Nailed it.
The crown of Bathion, and of course the statuesque figure of Dea. And we know of these things because we are actively trying to prevent someone from gathering them and using them for nefarious plans.
Her slitted red eyes just lock on each of you. Let me roll something for her. She says, if indeed knowledge is out about the armaments, then there are bigger problems than we face here. However, if you know of the figurine, perhaps you are the answer to our woes. The figurine is the cause of all of this. I don't know how to describe who I was before. Well, I was no one, frankly. I've risen to respect in my people that is quite unearned and quite uncomfortable for me to wield, but here we are. I was a courtesan during the wars, and I followed my people, our army, as they fought across all of the continents, and I was far from here from the time I was a young girl on. I watched my people, my community, suffer and lose the war and be chased and persecuted for years afterwards. And I will not lie to you because you have not lied to me. We were desperate. And Dea is not one to give up. And Dea is not one to leave her followers untended. We made our way here hoping our ancestral home would protect us, that the people, the Dionic armies would forget what we had done, how we had participated in the war. They did not. Nor was our home the safe haven we needed it to be. And I will not go into detail, for it shames me, but Dea gifted me the figurine and I used it. And I would very much love to take that decision back and undo what I did. But time goes on, though we do not. What I need now is a way to end this curse, to free this land, to free my people without seeing my people die. I do not know what would happen to my people if and when I lift this curse, this blessing. And I fear that the years that we have had are borrowed time. And that I would single-handedly eviscerate the Yuan-Ti people from Dion for good. And that is not what they deserve, and it is not what I deserve. So there's the ugly truth of why we are here.
Seems as though this is something that you've thought about at length over your many, many centuries of life.
It is all I think about. It is all I spend every day trying to solve. It is all I am. This blessing, my people, they do not all agree that freedom is what we need. They do not all agree that the risk would be worth it. Some yearn for death and seek it out. It does not feel like my choice to make, but I may be the only one who can make it. If I can even figure out how to use the damned thing again without killing us all.
So it seems that you're quite determined, at least to have the figure in your possession. Do you know where it is right now?
I do. And she walks over to a large sort of like wicker cabinet. It's not locked, it's just latched closed, nothing particularly fancy. And she pops the latch and opens the double doors on it. Digs behind some different pouches and bottles and pulls out what is, by all accounts, just a small leather pouch. A couple inches tall. And she just tosses it to you like it's nothing. You feel it's got a little bit of weight to it. Yeah, and you open it up and it is a small carving of just a full-bodied, round-faced, long-haired woman cut into rose quartz. It's beautiful. It's a little piece of art.
Like it.
She says, I can see on your face what you want to try right now, and trust me, I have tried it all. Well, I would like very much to figure out how to recreate the ritual that started this blessing on the land in a way that would not lead to the untimely death of an entire population who now live here. Not only of the Yuan-Ti, though of course I am beholden to them, but the creatures, the others who have come here, there are many like you who reside here trying to help me solve this problem.
And it seems as though many that didn't quite make it to your settlement. And we've seen what happens to them. Those that don't
Unfortunately, death is not the only danger that can be found in these woods. We take in who we can, we protect who we can, but even we are not it's safe against the creatures and natural consequences of the blessing.
So do you recall the ritual that you undertook to activate this blessing?
She stands up straight and takes a gander out of an arched window, and says, I do. I remember it as if it was yesterday. I remember it too well. It was complex, as one might imagine. I have certain gifts from Dea that allowed me to survive it. I did not know. Those who were already injured, who were ill, who were old and infirmed, I did not know that they would remain that way. Many of them suffer still. This is why it is important. I have tried recreating the ritual. Of course I have. I've tried learning how to do the opposite of what I did. I've tried learning languages and names and histories that are untold from those who travel here, and nothing has gotten that thing to do what it did again in any other way.
Well,
I have watched a disastrous consequence of the curse spreading. I tried sending it away. I tried many times to just have someone take it and throw it into the ocean, and the blessing, it does not end here. It just follows and spreads and grows and takes more.
Well, gifts from the gods rarely come with instructions, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yes. And Dea is not one to explain herself. So, thus is my quandary, all laid out on the table before you. I understand if you cannot help or if you choose not to. There is a darkness in our past as a people that I cannot atone for enough. But I will if I must.
If you don't mind me asking, in your trials to break this curse, you mentioned things like throwing it away and things of that nature. How far have you brought in this relic outside of these woods here? Does the effects of this blessing seem to linger even when this little figurine is far, far away?
I cannot say that we have tried crossing oceans with it. We do not have the means or the people to even think about doing so. We have taken it to the Bay of Ilar, which you would all know is the particularly large bay that this continent sort of surrounds, and it's very rough water. She said we took it to the coast of the Bay of Ilar, and well, back then there were consequences to those actions as well, and so we stopped trying as more villages fell to the curse.
Hmm. And do you recall where you first enacted the ritual for this blessing?
Yes, I do. I have tried reenacting the ritual, doing something different, changing the ritual, doing anything, and I've tried it in that location, and that doesn't seem to make a difference from what I've tried.
Hmm. Go ahead.
So, the people from the previous expeditions, that similar to the one we're on, are you saying that they came here? Have you seen them?
Yes, they live here amongst my people.
Have
They're
we seen
quite
them
well
yet?
liked. You have not seen any non-Yuan-Ti people yet.
May we see them to ask them what they've learned on their travels?
Of course, whatever you think will help.
That was my idea.
I do have one question for you. If you learned how to get rid of the curse, but it would mean that all of the years that you have lived will catch up, and your people will die, will you still end it, knowing that it is spreading to the rest of the world?
She takes a long moment to consider. I would rather any other solution be made available than the loss of my entire people. But perhaps death is a better solution than what we have now.
While they're having like that conversation, can Killian use I want to use a channel divinity and use divine sense. So he'll just kind of close his non-cool eye and look at this thing through like his divine sense.
Okay. It reads brightly celestial. Hard to describe. just because something is celestial, you, as Killian, would know that does not make it necessarily good nor evil, just strongly celestial. Typically associated with good. But this thing does seem to have like a sickly taint to it as well, that might read evil to you. Though the celestial nature of it is beautiful and loving, and you, especially looking at it with your eye, you feel this like obsession over it sort of come over you. Like it is extremely important, and it needs to survive. It needs to exist. Beauty like this has to be in the world. Otherwise, the world is not worth living in.
Some might say it's precious.
Some might say it's precious. And you should throw it into the fires of Mordor. Some might say. And with that, let's take a quick 10-minute break. So we'll be back at about 45 after the hour. So that's 9:45 Eastern, 8:45 Central. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stick around. kids. Thanks for waiting. All right, we're going to jump right back into it. So the group has met the Yuan-Ti sort of leader woman, Zitzi, and you all have asked her about the figurine of Dea, which she has and happily handed over for your perusal. And she has agreed to let you meet with the other sort of random people who have gathered here over the years, who have been trying to help, according to her, figure out how to break this sort of curse or blessing or whatever you will call it over their land, their people, this whole community. So you are up in her tower, and I'm gonna ask Bobby, as the one of you who is not sort of charmed by the Undying Wood, to roll an insight check.
We ain't getting nothing with that nat 1, baby.
Ooh.
Big sad. Big sad. Okay. Big sad for you, maybe not for me. Okay. But she says, would you like to go meet the others now? There, a few of them, I believe, are here in the tower, and a few are out in the village with my people.
I think we would.
And Sitsi, you don't mind if I hold on to the figurine?
I would quite prefer to have it back in a safe location by the end of the day, but I am trusting you and taking you at your word, so...
No, I'll leave it here with you. We know where it is. We know where to find it.
Yes. Yes. And she puts it right back where it was. Doesn't seem to lock or do anything special to the cabinet, just puts it back away. And she says, come, I believe Tristan is upstairs. And she leads you further up, going around and around up the tower, a few more stories. And you find yourselves in a big sort of, at this point in the tower, most of the walls are just open archways. It's quite windy. You have a view. You are at this point like in the sort of mist clouds. So you're not quite above where you would be able to see like the cliffs of Varus Rash or the whole landscape beneath you. But you're very much in the clouds almost. And it is open air up here. You find another room similarly set up to the one below, Sitzi's room that you just came from. This one just seems to be a bit more of a workroom. There's less clutter, there's less actual stuff gathered, but there are like work tables, different sets of tools, a couple like large leather-bound tomes and books laid out, and you find a human man, maybe in his mid-60s, standing and reading over one of the tomes as you all follow Zitzi up the ramp into this space. And he looks up through these like large, thick spectacles that he takes off and says, priestess, what, new blood, new people. Interesting. Come, read this. And he turns the book to where you can all see it. He looks at Zitzi and says, priestess, forgive me, I have found what I believe to be an old spell. I wonder if it's something you could work. And sort of shows her and lets you all look at it as well. Go ahead and roll, anybody who wants to, roll an Arcana check.
$18.
26.
22.
18, 26, 22. You all, with some of that arcane knowledge, would recognize this as like an old, almost like a cleric's spell, specifically for like the progression of an injury or a disease so that you can heal something faster. Is sort of what this like arcane combination of sigils and spell work seems to be leading toward. This would appear to be like some sort of healer's tome of some kind. And Zitzi runs a finger along it and sort of like tests out some of the incantations under her breath and says, this might be something, perhaps. Keep digging. This could be good. My friends, I'm sorry. I'm realizing I have not asked your names. I have told you I am Sitsi. You, of course, are Lady Seraphina. I believe you've introduced yourself.
My name is...
Seraphina, sticks out her devil's tongue again.
One of us, of course.
My name is Killian.
I'm Eidos. Nawat.
You may call this one Motorway. And then Bula's like, I'm Bula.
Thank you. Yes, these are travelers who have come. Everyone, this is Tristan Montague. He came from, where did you say? The middle continent somewhere. And he said, Lena Mirna, lady. Yes, I was a sort of one of the royal wizards of Lena Mirna, of the royal family, and found myself here looking to make a name for myself and ended up finding a purpose. And Sitsi gives him a kind smile. And he says, so, this spell, you think it could work, priestess? And she gives a look again and she says, maybe try it on... Take it down, maybe these all can go with you. Take it down to visit, Histui and see if it'll work for his ailment. And let me know if it does anything. He says, yes, of course. Closes the tome, sort of marking the page, giving a little dog ear sort of tag. And he says, well, if you're all here and you've already spoken with the priestess, then you must know of the predicament that these fine people find themselves in.
Yes, we're aware.
We were hoping you might have a little bit of maybe personal experience with what's going on here.
Sitsi turns to him as he kind of looks at her, and she says, you are welcome to be honest with them, to whatever degree that you feel appropriate. I will retire, and you may take them to the other outsiders, when they see fit. They have my leave to get to know the people. He says, yes, priestess. And she says, I will leave you all to it so that you don't feel I am influencing any conversations that you might have. Thank you. You may find me in my rooms if you need me. And she goes back down. And he turns to you and he says, well, yes, so it's quite the arcane predicament that they have here. It's a one-of-a-kind sort of ritual that she must have cast all those years ago to keep them locked here in this state, but I hope if I find some sort of cross spell between chronomancy and healing, that perhaps we can find a way to at least keep the ones who are ill or injured from suffering another year longer. Do you bring any particular skills with you? If you've survived this far, you must be relatively useful.
The
I don't want
on that one.
I don't mean to brag, but I'm quite capable of many things. Just depends on what you're asking. Clearly still high on the mushroom fumes.
Yeah, and actually, above table, sorry to interrupt. So we're all still being, forced, loved, so to speak. Are we being drawn anywhere now? Have we arrived to the location that we're being drawn to?
Yeah, like this is where you want to be.
This is it?
Specifically, all of you except for Maraway find yourselves at once wanting to help the Yuan-Ti, and at the same time not wanting this curse to end necessarily.
Okay.
Though you do still have your faculties about you, as far as decision making goes. It's just sort of your emotions that her story sort of tugs on your emotions in a lot of big ways. And very much you wish you could have taken that figurine with you. But Mr. Montague here says, well, what do you wish to know? I'll get you up to speed on what we've tried and what remains to be seen.
How many expeditioners do you have here in this village?
Well, I have been here many, many years. I think I got here in 1341. What year is it now?
1697.
Goodness, time does fly. Yes, I've been here quite some time, and there were 3 here before me, and some 16 or 17 have arrived since.
Do these numbers match up with what Benji's been saying? Felt like a much bigger number before.
Yeah, no, it would appear that they have lost more people than what this man is accounting for. As
The
far
rest
as
of them are going to be mushroom people.
Okay.
do you ask any of these questions?
I guess I'll ask in a different way. It's like, have you explored much of the area around the settlement to see if you can locate any stragglers or survivors, people who walk in?
We do try to recover as many people who venture into the wood as we can. The more new blood we have here to help solve this problem, the better. Though the woods have their own particular brand of danger, and there are beasts and creatures who wander hungry and collect, if not able to kill and eat some stragglers.
Yeah, like the Myconids, the mushroom people. They seem to be.
Yes, you've met the Myconids. Yes, they are easily dealt with, but one such trouble, yes, absolutely.
I can see why they'd be problematic, certainly. Is that just some normal beast of the forest? Were they just natural predators here before the spell came down over the area?
Well, the Myconids in particular, yes, they were here before the curse came down and have been here since. The natural inhabitants of the wood have had varying degrees of long-term onset madness, as you can imagine.
I can imagine, yeah. It's just strange because we could see the mushrooms growing in frequency and size, and signs of cultivation the closer we drew here. I'm just wondering if there's some sort of relationship between the Myconids and this place, perhaps this tower.
I do believe, and you should probably be already able to corroborate the draw that we all have felt that every living being I know can feel within these woods to this tower in particular. Yes?
So the Myconids also are drawn towards this area.
I imagine so, though I cannot speak for them. Did you guys leave the mushroom gnome back with Benji and Nomi?
Nice on Cashmore.
Yeah, he's probably back there. He's probably with them over there.
He's back with them. Okay. But yeah, he says, you can, I can assume as much. I don't want to speak for the mushroom folk, but yes, it seems that all the living creatures within the radius of the blessing have been drawn to this settlement, which makes it all the harder to fortify and keep the Yuan-Ti people safe from.
Interesting.
Interesting indeed, it is. The quandary of my lifetime. And the bane of my entire existence. But alas, I do hope you come with fresh ideas.
Do you happen to recall, or did you make it to this settlement with anyone else of your expedition party?
I did not. I came with a retinue of the greatest knights of Lena Myrna of the time, and we hoped to venture in and have a grand adventure breaking the curse and freeing these lands. Lena Myrna, having conquered much of the tip of this continent, would very much have liked to reclaim this land in the name of the country, and unfortunately, I have been here since trying to do such, and the majority of my knights did not make it as far as I did.
Well, Sitsi mentioned that she has tried multiple things to break this curse. I assume that you were providing some maybe additional support or ideas that maybe you had thought of yourself?
Yes, this tome that I have just found this spell in is one from my own personal library that I had brought with me, and we have scoured it and rearranged pages and tried to figure out anything that could possibly work, and we have not even scratched the surface of the knowledge that I brought with me, but we've tried a variety of options. What she will not let me try is destroying the thing itself. Although I think if she allowed me to try, I don't know that I would.
Why not?
Well, you should feel too. It feels beyond our reckoning, and I cannot, as a mere mortal, take it upon myself to attempt to destroy something given by the gods, regardless of what we now feel about that god.
Lucky for you, I feel no such thing. And I would be more than happy to try to destroy it for you.
Well, I would give my life to not allow you to do so, if I'm being quite frank. Unless, of course, the Enchantress commanded such a thing. I do not wish to be party to a genocide.
Yeah.
And we do not know what it will do to not just the Yuan-Ti, but all the other inhabitants of this wood, both sentient and not sentient, to destroy an object of such magnitude. And I don't even know how one would go about trying to destroy an item of a god.
Well, either way, there's no way of knowing what is going to happen or what will happen whenever this curse is lifted. It's never been done before. We don't know if it will result in the genocide of the people or if they will just be able to live out the rest of their natural lifespans. It's uncharted territory.
I would like to introduce you to some people, if you would be so kind.
Certainly.
Lead the way.
He picks up this large tome. It's too big to fit in a bag, so he just carries it under an arm. And he leads you out one of the arches, out to like the exterior of the tower, and starts leading you down the outside ramp, going around and around the tower. And as you're walking down and you come sort of below the line of the mist and cloud, that like green reflecting mist, you're able to get a bird's eye view of this whole settlement. And he sort of points out different quadrants, different neighborhoods, and he says, well, about 300 years ago is when we built that set of homes. We expanded upon those homes over to the east against the rivers so that they would have a bit more space. And he's sort of giving you a tour of the city as you circle this tower, and you're able to see a 360 view as you walk. And you do see at this point, even the sort of route that you all had come in from, you see from far away movement of people, and the community actually have emerged now that you've sort of made it into the city proper, and it seems sort of an all clear was given, as you didn't come in and directly attack. And people seem to have sort of emerged from their hiding places. And you see what is a well-populated community. It's not a city by any means. It is a large village, a town, if you will, but well-populated with a lot of people. And you can see from up here, well into the woods, do the paths all sort of snake out from the community, and you can assume that this is not, that while this is sort of a center of population, that this is not the only population here of people. And he leads you all the way down to ground level and takes off along a road. And people nod to him, and he nods back and says hello to a few passersby and stops to pick up some food from someone who's just collected random food. And he says, "Well, you don't get hungry. You do miss the flavor, yes?" And I think Bula says, like, "Yeah." Sometimes I take a bite just to feel something different again. It crunches into an apple, and then just kind of like tosses it. And he says, "So, Zitzi may have described to you the true crux of the issue. Long-lived peoples have existed for eons. Elves can live many, many hundreds of years. That in itself is not the problem. The problem is that they are stagnant. They are in stasis. Those who were injured from terrible injuries of war and illnesses of being in a fleeing population across swamp and ocean and land, these all stuck when Zitzi brought this blessing down upon them. And what would really be the best solution would be to free them of that torment and allow them to go on. They have every intention of being a peaceful people, and they have every opportunity and reason to not make the mistakes of their past. Where we lose our own history over the generations, these people have not. They remember very well the horrors of war and what it means to be on the losing side of a war. And you see these people are indeed, as you walk through the city streets, some are... There's an array of sort of emotional faces passing you, but mostly they seem relatively unafraid of the outsiders in the group. At this point, they're running up like you see like a little child with like almost fully human features, but snake fingers comes up, and all the little snake fingers are like sniffing and looking at Killian's like whip all coiled up, trying to see if it's like snake-ish. And then the kids like run away screaming, and they run like under Cassian's legs as Casimir, sorry, goes trotting by. And you do eventually you pass by the same place where you left Benji and Nomi and the rest of your gang, and you see that they are sort of talking with some of the locals. And Benji gives Marway a nod, just a kind of a "y'all okay" kind of look as you pass by on the street.
Marway is like nodding.
Yeah, no, everything's fine. Are they treating you with hospitality?
He sort of like walks away, like sort of brushes a kid off of his leg, and he says, "I mean, they're like too hospitable, right? I mean, these are some of the nicest people I've met, and I'm from a druid grove. My village was good people, and as soon as y'all left, they all approached, and they've been telling us what their day-to-day is like, and it's not pretty, but they've given us all the hospitality that we could want." Where y'all been? You see, the old man that you were following has kind of paused up the road a bit to let you all converse.
Well, we went up to the really tall tower, and we met this really nice old man, and he's gonna like point over at the old guy. And he's just trying to help us figure out how the curse works.
All right, well, Nomi also walks over at this point, and she says, "Well, I can't say that I'm not a little bit off-put by what is happening here, and I can't say I've ever met a Yuan Ti before that I liked, but let's see what we can figure out. We're fine here if you're all fine."
Yeah.
So far, so good. I'd also turn to Kellyanne. So, do you have Koshar's mace on you?
No, I think Archangel has that.
I thought he left it so that he wouldn't take it to Orin when he went to search for him.
I feel like that's correct. I don't remember for sure.
At the arena, he said he didn't want to fall into Orin's hands, and I want to say we picked it up, but I'm not sure.
Oh. I feel like that would be an important thing to be in my inventory.
Did we did we put it in the bag of holding? I feel like maybe Bula took it in her bag of holding.
Let me see if I just happen to write it down. That would be nice. Yeah, I mean, I did write that he left it with us, but not who picked it up. So,
Well, if we got it, then we got it.
no, we got it. Perhaps that would come in handy. A relic for a relic.
Maybe a god artifact can destroy another god artifact.
Yeah, in fact, we could maybe.
Are you guys? Are Killian and Ados having this conversation?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Benji and Nomi look at each other and look at you all and say, "I think y'all got a lot to tell us that you did not tell us."
Oh.
Oh, was that out
That's a
loud?
conversation. That was a conversation for later. Later, we're busy.
What we've learned today is that you all knew these snake folk were here, and now there's some god artifacts involved. When we make camp tonight, we have a conversation. All right?
I would love to have a conversation.
Yeah,
Benji says-
there you go.
We're gonna have a conversation, Marway. Don't you worry.
But not too open of one. And you'll kind of tap Marway's shoulder, saying, well, he's waiting on us. Let's go.
All right. We're gonna try and keep Barda busy as well, but she's itching to follow you all, so keep an eye on behind you in case we can't keep her wrangled. You indeed see Barda is like you see Amelia is talking to some of the children and sort of like taking notes and doing the missionary thing with this community while Barda is eagle-eyeing you guys.
Ooh, that's eerie. Standing off in the distance.
Do we all notice that she's eagle-eyeing us?
Yeah, for sure. She is not
Awkwardly
hiding.
wave at her with a smile.
Her frown deepens.
Always a good time, that one.
She really needs to turn that frown upside down.
She does. You should tell her that. I think that's good advice.
Yeah, literally anybody else dealing with her besides us would be great, but we'll keep her busy for now. And y'all figure out what the heck you're gonna tell us later on, all right? Get your story straight, maybe.
Seraphina is going to nudge Morway and she'll say, "Hey, watch this." And she's going to pull out her wand of smiles and point it at Barda.
You have a wand of smiles.
Okay, for the audience, what does it do? Read us the description.
Take a wild guess.
While holding it, you can use an action
You could
to
possibly do.
expend one of its charges and target a humanoid you can see within 30 feet of you. Oh, the target must succeed on a charisma saving throw and be forced to smile for 1 minute.
Awesome.
That is a 16 on that charisma save. What's your
Oh
spell save?
no!
Do it again, do it again.
It's got 2 more charges.
Cast
It's
it.
2 more charges. It has 3 charges.
She looks deeply offended as you point a wand at her and try to cast a spell on her, and she shakes it off.
Yeah, so it fails. She's gonna try one. Seraphina's gonna do it one more
This,
time.
is just, this happened in Harry Potter.
Yes. That was a nat 20. She stands up,
Seraphina.
and like the two like adults who were talking to her like almost fall over in their chairs, like, oh my goodness, this missionary woman looks angry.
Okay. Seraphina's gonna try one last time.
Okay, but I
How
want you to
does
know,
that
if you do not succeed, gonna be pissed. But here we go. That is a 13. Does that pass?
We gotta go.
Seraphina, no.
Seraphina turns and runs towards the old man.
Storming through the crowd after you all.
Goodbye, Benji. And I'm just going to take off with Seraphina giggling.
Numi says, "God damn it! All right, Barda, listen. It was just a joke. It was just a joke." And as you guys like run off down the street, you can hear Nomi being like, "Calm down." And Barda's just going, "How dare they? A woman of Dion!" And you hear the Karen of Karens Karening behind you. As Tristan leads you away. At this point, he doesn't know why, but quickly. Yeah, so he leads you a couple of blocks away, almost toward the river that you crossed to get here. And you find yourselves in a cute little like circle in sort of a more meadow-ish clearing in the woods. Of just little houses, one of which just has like a mossy curtain hanging from what would be like a front door. And it's up on some stilts, so you walk up some stairs to get up there after Tristan. And he says, before the curtain, he turns to you all and says, "There is a family in here who caught a rather dire illness, one that is unpleasant, and unfortunately, their child is the one suffering greatest. So we're going to go in here. I trust you all to be polite and kind. And I'm going to try this spell and see if it will help make any progression with the illness that he's been suffering from for quite some time, obviously. But as you watch, perhaps you'll understand the direness of these people's situation." He sort of looks at you all for confirmation that you will be civil.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He sort of like announces himself a little bit louder. He was whispering for you before, and he says, Shene, Ixa, I have come and I have perhaps what could help. You hear footsteps approach quickly and the curtain sort of be pulled aside, and you see a young-ish Yuan-Ti woman looks you all over and looks at Tristan and says, Come. She's in bed still. He leads you all into a dark, humid interior. They have a couple fires lit, which is strange. It's not nearly cold enough for fires to need to be lit. But it seems they're trying to keep this space up quite hot, and hence the curtains over the doors and the windows. And he leads you through. This is sort of just like a single room, sort of round entryway / dining area / living area. There's just like pallets on the floor and places to sleep and sit, as well as like a low eating table that you can sort of kneel and eat at. You see like a hearth in the corner for cooking. Not that these people do much cooking, but it's also lit and just like constantly burning, it seems. This room is very, very warm. And it seems they're trying to like fight the humidity. But they lead you through this larger outer space back toward a sort of bedroom space through another curtain, again, where there's 2 separate fires lit inside. And the only furniture is like a low pallet bed on the floor. And you see a very, very small, like maybe 4 or 5-year-old Yuan-Ti child laying in bed. And she looks up and says, Tristan! He says, hello, girl. What are you doing today? And she's like, Daddy won't let me play today, but I told him I'm fine. And she starts coughing. And she is, though she is scaly skinned with like this sort of like yellowy green and black pattern, you can't say you've ever seen a snake sweating before, but she seems moist, damper than a snake should be. Like, just like droplets pooling on her as her mother comes over and sits next to her and like kind of wipes down her arms, wipes down everything. Father goes over and stokes the fire, and they both kind of just watch nervously. And Tristan looks at Mother and says, I found something that might work. We haven't tried this one yet, so bear with me. It could take a bit. It's more of a ritual. She says, please, go ahead. The little girl says, is it gonna hurt, Tristan? He's like, I wish I knew, darling. I wish I knew. He sort of looks at you all for permission. He leans in and he says, pay particular attention. If this works, perhaps you can help me expand upon it for greater use. And he starts working his way through a ritual. It has a verbal and somatic component, so he's speaking and moving his hands over her. It almost looks like Reiki healing-esque, like as he sort of rakes over her body and focuses on different areas and whispers through these incantations, and then sort of like refers back to the book and keeps going. Any of you watching can roll an Arcana check, or any of you watching particularly to the spell.
13 has 11.
7.
Killing got 16.
Okay. 15 and 16 for killing him are away. Is that right? Opposite. Okay. You two are able to watch as this like roughly 10-minute ritual occurs, and her scales are like discolored in places and like lifted in places to where like you can almost see underneath between the scales, and that's a little bit discolored and like red and pink in places where it shouldn't be because she's so cool toned. Her nostril slits are weepy, her eyes are weepy, she looks a bit swollen, and she's just kind of got this like stargazing sort of demeanor on her face. None of that changes throughout this ritual. And you can see as Tristan gets frustrated about 8 minutes in that he's checking her over, he's working the ritual, and nothing seems to be changing for her. Her eyes are still quite cloudy, more gray than they are that clear black of a snake's eye. And eventually he sort of like deflates a little bit as the ritual ends, and you see the sort of arcane energy that he was giving her dissipates. And she says, did it work? He says, no, girl. The next one I find will, I promise. Promise.
Perhaps you wouldn't mind if I gave something a try.
Are you asking Tristan or asking her parents?
Her parents.
Her mother looks at her father and he nods gruffly. Her mother is weeping, trying not to let kiddo see. And she gives you a nod after looking at Tristan.
I am going to spend 10 minutes applying Oil of Etherealness so that while casting Lesser Restoration on her, part of her is no longer in this plane. So theoretically, that would mean that part of her is no longer affected by the curse because it's not here. Because it puts you halfway between the material and the ethereal plane.
I see what you're doing here. And then you're going to cast Lesser Restoration. Okay. You feed her the potion.
Well, it's an oil.
An oil. Okay, so you apply the oil. Yep. You apply the oil to her scales. And you can feel that she's like quite tense and cold and trembling quite a bit, feverish.
I'm gonna have Eden sit on her lap just to give her something cute to cuddle with during this.
Okay, that helps. You apply the oil to her skin, and she does seem to sort of like go a little bit more still. She stops shaking quite as badly. And then you cast Lesser Restoration.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Lesser Restoration, what I understand, would cure your physical body. Her physical body is still here. So you try, and it doesn't seem to affect her. She does seem calmer and like she's in less pain at this point, being sort of between planes. So doing that seems to have done something, though it seems her like physical illness was not touched by that Lesser Restoration. Tristan says, I never considered plane shifting or interesting.
Well, perhaps you could help me with something else. If this is just the stepping stone, I'm gonna pull out my book on creating demiplanes that I have yet to have been able. But maybe a more experienced caster might be able to create a small demiplane that we can put people into, and
he goes through this book that you're showing him, and he says, this could be exactly the kind of thing we hadn't thought of yet. We should study this. Yes, this could work. And he looks at her parents and says, I'm sorry, we won't be able to try today, but we could be on to something. And you see like sort of hope spark in both the parents' eyes. And looking at them, they both look a bit ill too. They just don't look quite as bad as the daughter. He says, this is good. We will bid you all good day. Keep her hydrated as much as you can, regardless. Same as before, keep her inside. And he gives them a nod and leads you all back out of the hut. He says, plane shifting. How many of a population do you think we could do this with?
I mean, if we learned how to create a plane, it would purely depend on how large of a plane we could create. I mean, my mother once had almost an entire planet as a plane. It was pretty cool.
And do we send the people and the creatures, those affected, the living things, and leave the land? Or do we simply send the figure?
Well, we could do either. I mean, I think it would be wise first if one person, maybe one of the ones who is more on the accepting of death side, because once they left the effect of the blessing, we could see what effect not having the blessing will do to them.
This is brilliant. Yes, trial and error. We try with one, we try with another. Someone healthy, someone ill, someone injured. We see what that will do. And then perhaps we expand. Interesting. There's someone else you should meet. Come. And he leads you back into the city, down some more streets. As you hear him sort of like mulling over this in his mind. Well, if we send the figure through, then it could potentially taint the plane, and he's sort of like working out all the possible scenarios of what this could potentially mean. And he leads you all further down the street. And he comes to what would appear to be like a park, for lack of a better term. There's a bunch of children here playing. They've made like rope swings and things sort of into a creek. There's like different slides and stuff. It's just a play place where kids have figured out how to put stuff together to keep themselves from being bored. He kneels down to one of them and he says, why don't you tell our friends here about the snake eater and see if they can help us solve that problem? And this little boy, who's maybe like 10 or 12, he's like, They don't want to know about the snake eater. No grown-ups want to know about the snake eater. They don't think it's real. And he says, I've told you from the start, I think it's real. Want to know about the snake eater? There's this guy.
Tell me.
There's this guy. And none of the grown-ups have seen him, but we see him. And you do note that you're like very close to the sort of like trench moat, like the hand dug sort of like border of the city, closer to like the actual like woodland. He says we see him here sometimes. He's like a hunter, and he comes and he takes us, and he took little Johnny like 17 years ago, and we haven't seen him since, and we know he ate him. And a little girl comes running over, and she's like,
Oh my
He didn't
goodness.
eat him! He just took him! He's like, oh, she thinks he saw it, but she didn't. No one actually saw it. And these little kids tell you all a tale of some... It sounds like man. You ask for some details. It sounds like perhaps, like, they don't know for sure. It sounds perhaps like it could be an elf, a human, maybe even like a dwarf. Some humanoid who comes and takes children from this park.
And the snake eater only takes children?
Well, the grown-ups don't believe us, so we think that you have to believe in him for him to take you. And the little girl says, no, he takes children because we can't fight that good. And the kid's like, I fight good. I bite hard. And she's like, yeah, you bite so hard. And then he chases her.
And you said it's been 17 years since they've come and taken somebody?
The last one we knew about. But he took others before then, too. And he'll take them again.
And
How often do you see the snake eater?
He comes by every couple years. Watches. Waits. The little girl says, stop it, stop it, stop it. And she like covers her ears. She looks a little bit afraid of the story.
Killian's gonna lean over to Tristan and be like, are these are the kids you wanted us to meet?
It's a bit unorthodox, I know, but I wanted to show you that things aren't exactly safe, even in the village. There's what these kids call the snake eater. We indeed know there's some hunter that has been lurking and stalking the community since we were here in the first place, and is as long-lived as we are. And besides him, we do have many of our own go missing, and well, we could use all the help we could get to solve maybe not just the problem, but many of our problems.
Well, I mean, add it to the list of things to do, I suppose.
All I can ask. And he says, well, I am anxious to get started considering this demi-plane theory and seeing what that could potentially do for us. And besides that, is there any other information you all need, or... Essentially, I need to ask, have I convinced you yet that these are people who could use our help?
Well, this curse definitely needs to be lifted on this forest. It's not only endangering the lives of these Yuan-Ti here, but, you know, anyone that is outside that ventures into these woods, you know, really meets a cruel fate, as we've seen along the way. I do think that, you know, we are here to help in some capacity, but we don't know what's going to, well, we don't know what the results of our efforts are going to be. We hope for the best in this situation, but doesn't seem like anything we can actually guarantee.
I wouldn't expect you to. It is quite dire. Yes. why don't you reconvene with your group? And at this point, like the sun is setting, it's getting a little bit darker out slowly. He says, why don't you reconvene with the rest of your traveling companions, and we will meet back at Sitsy's tower, and you can let her know what you've decided and if you've thought of any potential solutions. Mr. Marway, I will confer the notes and the books that I have, the tomes I have for plane shifting, and I will have that ready to go for you in the morning.
Sounds good to me. I don't really know how much help I'll be with it, though. I've tried for quite some time to understand it, but it just goes right over my brain.
I am from this plane and a great wizard, and you being, I assume, from another plane and a particularly skilled mage
told you.
of your own. Well, I guessed based on the quite prominent goat legs and tail, and the horns. And
They are a little bit of a giveaway, aren't they?
A bit. Only learned man. I don't want you to feel insecure about it. I just know these things. Irregardless, you will find hospitality anywhere in the city. You may even stay in Sitsy's tower if you so choose, but we understand if that is not your preferred lodging. So find your rest as you need, and we will meet again in the morning.
And as we all kind of leave this Tristan's company, Killian will just kind of look over to the group and just say, well, we found the figure at the very least, but definitely seems that we've stepped in something a little bit far greater than what we were expecting.
That seems to always be the case with these relics. I think we'll be spending a lot more time and energy here than we expected to, and I expected to spend quite a bit. A lot of rocks to turn over.
I mean, I'm no real expert in breaking curses or anything like that, but I don't honestly know where to start. Any ideas, anybody?
We should probably see if we can see the site that the ritual was originally done in.
Yeah, maybe there's some kind of clue there, at the very least.
I mean, if we don't know where to go, we can just start at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good idea. I also remain unconvinced that we're getting the entire story. I think there's something more to the Myconids than they're letting on. They're acting like there's some woodland creature, but I mean, just with our conversations with Bayland, I think that's his name, right? I think there's something bigger, especially with their desire to protect the woods. I don't think anybody asked from what.
Is there a reason why the Myconids are the only things that are hungry?
It seems like they're hungry, but they almost can't eat. In a way.
They stay hungry.
Well, if nothing can decompose and they feed on decomposition, then they're, essentially locked outside of a glass pantry.
But their desire to eat is there where no one else has any.
It's because they were hungry when the curse found them.
And then nobody else in town was hungry when the curse found them.
It is a little weird, isn't it?
Maybe we ask around. Maybe we find some hungry people.
Find
Who knows?
one hungry person.
It was 11 o'clock,
Oh,
and it was
so
about
jealous.
lunchtime, and, I just didn't get through the line fast enough.
Are we all in agreement that this curse needs to be broken no matter what? Even if it means the end of these Yuan-Ti?
I hate to say it, but I think it does. I mean, with this, perimeter expanding and engulfing more and more as the years go by, we've seen what it's doing to this land. It can't stand anymore.
And even more of a concern is what could happen if Orin and his forces get a hold of this figurine. You know, all we need is an undying army coming after the whole of Dion.
It is a thought that brings me sorrow, but these Yuan-Ti have lived past when they were should have. They have lived full lives. It seems almost selfish of them to protect the curse if it means their death versus letting it spread.
Regardless of what we do during our stay here, we definitely know what Plan B is. If we find ourselves unable to solve this mystery any other way.
Well, either way, something needs to be done with that figurine, whether we take it along with us or find a way to destroy it. We just don't know what's going to happen at the end of when we deal with this curse. I think whatever happens, you know, that's what fate had in store for these poor people.
It's a hard world, for sure. Can't avoid your fate longer than what's given to you. But as far as, our to-do list, it seems we're in agreement that we should go to the original site of the ritual. I personally would like to talk to the Myconids more about their lot in life. Is there anything else? Any other ideas that we have? Maybe find more about this snake eater person. I'm not sure how good of a lead that is, but
maybe we can ask Zitzi for some more details about what she actually did for her ritual.
she never did go into details. She just said it was complex. And that would be good to know.
Yeah, I can't tell if the snake eater is related.
Well, they say it was someone that's been plaguing the village for many, many years, so it's possible that someone might even know the identity of this snake eater.
And did I forget, is the snake eater, do they only take children or do they take adults too?
Seems
just
like
children.
they only took children.
Just children.
According to the children.
If you can believe
Should
the
we
children.
bait it?
That one I'm not so concerned with. It seems like very unfortunate, but perhaps normal part of life, however callous that might seem. It could happen anywhere. It's not unnatural for a predator to plague a city, is what I'm saying. If we can find him, let's get rid of him, certainly. But
And it was also the last sighting, or the last child that was taken was 17 years ago, so there's no guarantee that any kind of trap that's set would be sprung anytime soon.
Keep a child there for 17 years.
Fishing is so fun.
You can leave them in a cage. They're not going to starve or die anyways, so
It's like catfishing. You lay it down and then you go about your day. Come back in 2 days and see if you got a catfish.
But on another note, what are we willing to divulge to Benji and Nomi? In fact, I feel as though more or less their expedition is a success, given that this is the farthest it's ever been, and this place seems to be the draw of everyone that comes into this forest.
I think what we divulged to him so far is all we need to. He doesn't know what he's missing out on. The Yuan-Ti was one thing that we all told him about, and then the relics he saw for. He didn't see for himself, but we can explain to him what we're doing here and what we will be doing here. So yeah, just tell him about, you know, the formation of this place with the Yuan-Ti and, you know, the relic being the catalyst for it, and that's all he really needs to know, yeah?
And then maybe also figure out what Barda is trying to do. What's up with her?
She kind of just seems...
A lot.
Yeah. Seems like a nosy neighbor a little bit.
I mean, I can only assume anyone coming into these woods and just being close to that relic, you know, and Maro, when you even thinking of destroying it just made me feel terrible. You know, even against my better judgment, it was something that, even though the idea was brought up, I didn't want to destroy. I still don't want to destroy it right now. I feel like if we tried, I would stop myself or even stop you from doing it. So I have to imagine that it has to, the purpose being there, and the things that you overheard a few nights ago, Eidos, it has to deal with something with that, with the figurine.
Do you think she knows about it? I mean, the choir is very much against it. Maybe she came here specifically for it.
Such hidden knowledge. I can't imagine she knows much about it.
I mean, we found it in a book in a library.
Well, in a very restricted section of a library. But maybe she's a platinum member.
Might I ask if your religion keeps restricted books?
Well, I mean, this is above table. I don't, outside of, like, I just think back to, like, the Protectorate training and things like that. I'm sure there are things that are above my pay grade. I'll put it that way, or when I think about it. And,
Sure, but none of it is as sort of, like, difficult to get a hold of as stuff referencing the uninvited gods.
Yeah. You know, Marwe, I know that there's knowledge that is outside my realm of experience, at least when it comes to manners of Oasis and the Protectorate, but even during my training, talk about the uninvited gods was always something that was dismissed rather quickly. But I'm sure the higher ups within my within the Protectorate would have a better idea than I would. It's more it's more knowledge of the uninvited gods that is restricted to the general populace of Dion, or at least hard to come by, at the very least. And these members of the missionaries, these choir missionaries, I don't know if they would have necessarily the resources or anything of that nature to have that kind of in-depth information, but needless to say, it's still their whole being here has been, I feel like, off-putting for all of us. You know, very dismissive of their true intent here. Just them being here has been quite the puzzle for trying to figure that out. But yeah. So I just hope it's nothing that is sprung on us too late and we're unable to do something about it.
Well, suppose we better start asking questions then.
All right. And as both the characters and the players ponder a whole lot of questions, we're going to call it a night.
So many questions.
As you perfectly summarized all the mysteries that are up in the air right now. Thank you. Okay, we will be back next Monday, as we are every Monday night at 7 Central, 8 Eastern, to play some more Dion Rising. So make sure you come on back. Thanks to you all for the raid and for hanging out with us tonight. We appreciate you guys, all the followers. We love you. Have a good night. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Hasta la pasta.
Bye-bye.
Bye.